Welcome to Lesson 6 in Unit 7, Patterns in the Sky. In this lesson, students will work to answer the question, why can we see stars at night but not during the day? In this lesson, students look for patterns in the nighttime sky as they draw, observe, and discover that stars shine because they illuminate themselves. Students figure out that they can only see stars at night. They also figure out that they see stars because they make their own light. Students make connections to the storyline by finding the pattern of stars being seen at night and not during the day. There are several opportunities for ELA cross-curricular connections throughout the lesson. You can look for specific standard connections in the Unit 7 Teacher Guide. This lesson will take approximately 4 to 5 days to complete. To begin the Engage portion, you'll display the image of a starlit sky and ask students questions about things aside from the moon that they might see in the night sky. You'll also ask what they notice about the image and what questions they have about stars. You'll revisit the driving question board to add any new questions and highlight any others connected to the learning goals of this lesson by calling attention to questions about stars or patterns in the nighttime sky. For the Explore portion, you'll ask students if they're able to see stars during the day and why they think that this is the case. You'll then provide students with black construction paper and white crayons in order to model this phenomenon. You'll have students draw stars on the black construction paper and make observations. Next, you'll have students open to their Stars in the Daytime student journal page and ask them what they think the white paper represents and have them draw stars with the white crayons on the white journal page. For the Explain portion, you'll invite students to gather in a circle to analyze their observations around stars. You'll use the provided questions to guide your discussion around the question, why can we see the stars at night but not during the day? The goal of this class discussion is to figure out what patterns the stars reveal to us and how those patterns help us understand the night sky. You will use the discussion to add to the Unit 7 pattern chart. By the end of the discussion, students should understand that the stars are always in the sky. The light of the sun is so bright that it blocks out the light of the stars during the day. They will have a visual representation of this pattern. During the discussion, you'll read Stars, What They Are and When We See Them by My Size Stories. Be sure to use the Read Aloud guide for discussion questions. For the Elaborate portion, you'll carry out the Star Box investigation. Be sure to see the teacher tutorial slides showing the setup and procedures for this investigation. You'll have students record their observation on the Stars at Night student journal page. For the Evaluate portion, you'll have students complete the My Birthday Story Part 2 student journal pages in order to complete the summative task for the unit. They will tell a story about the patterns in the sky on their birthday. They can use the Birthday Story rubric to evaluate their work. You'll allow students to pair share their birthday stories or present their stories to the class. You can post their stories around the classroom, and students can complete the Birthday Story Writing student journal page if desired. You can also invite students to gather in a circle to summarize and share their learning from the unit. The goal of this class discussion is for teams to revisit the learning throughout the unit and to wrap up the unit. You'll use the Unit 7 pattern chart to support students in their unit wrap-up. To support student sense-making across the unit, you'll orient them back to the driving question board. You'll ask, did we answer any of the questions on our driving question board? And are there any questions we have left unanswered? Try to wrap up any final questions on the driving question board before the end of the unit. The end of this section has an Attending to Equity call-out. You can have students use the self-check form to evaluate their own learning in this section. This is an instructional tool that can be used as a metacognitive practice for students to reflect on their learning, express their engagement and excitement levels for topics they have learned so far. This tool will also allow students to reflect on their science identities and community. By the end of this lesson, students will have analyzed data and constructed explanations to answer questions about why we are able to see the stars. For the optional extend, you can show the Zodiac Constellations student journal page and have students tally their birthdays to complete the constellations in our class student journal page. They could also create their own constellation by making a pattern in the stars on the My Constellation student journal page. For more information about this unit, visit myscipartners.com.